Isaac, thanks for joining us today. So as we're saying, we're looking at growth at around 7%. It was 6.6% last year, but by any standards, of course, that is still strong. Has the growth in the overall economy been reflected in investment into the real estate sector?
Yeah, we've seen major developments going on in the real estate sector. This has been on the background of buoyant economic activity in the mining sector, which has been complemented with agriculture, manufacturing, the financial sector, and ICTs that have grown tremendously. And this has given a push for increased demand for infrastructure. And also there's been a deliberate policy by government coming way back from the previous government into the current government to invest much more in infrastructure. And I think what we are seeing now is a reflection of growth that's been sustained over the recent past, as well as going forward. We're looking at the buoyancy of the economy and the prospects that are coming out of the many sectors that are supporting the real estate sector.
If you talk about the
growth,
if you talk about the residential sector, I mean, where is the majority of investment activity taken place, and are there areas that are still undersupplied when it comes to housing?
Yeah, I think much of what we're seeing is the development of real estate that caters for the middle class, which has been growing steadily in the recent past. And there's been a very high demand. In fact, the nation has a housing deficit of about 2 million plus housing units. And much of what we've seen has been construction that is driven by individuals as well as private developers. But this caters mostly for the middle class. There is significant demand for the low income bracket, and that is where the highest deficiency is. And so far, we haven't seen much investment in that area, as well as for the, luxurious upmarket range as well.
Is that where government needs to step in, Isaac? Sorry, is that where government needs to step in when you're talking about providing housing to low-income households?
I think so. Government needs to move in because the current property developers, those that are investing in the construction sector, looking at real estate, they are mostly focusing on the middle class because that is a lucrative market for them. That is where the income levels have been, credible enough, and they're able to sustain the demand and the prices that we've seen on the market. But away from that, government needs to come in to have provision for providing low-income housing because most of the investors are not willing and not keen to invest in that segment because the returns are seen to be maybe lower, and we don't have long-term finance in this country. So we need long-term finance which can be provided through development finance, intermediaries. But government is also hoping that we can do much more through the public-private partnership initiative, which is key to developing the areas aside of Lusaka.
We've got the commentary around South Africa and China being heavily invested in the real estate sector. Are those the two countries or those the two places where investors are coming from and putting their money into real estate?
Well, we have quite a mix, but much of that has come from South Africa, as you rightly said. But there is the China factor also. We've seen a lot of Chinese construction companies on the market, and a lot of them now have initiated projects that are going to be delivering housing units. Before, the Chinese companies were mostly focused on, road infrastructure, as well as going into social facilities that government has been financing, like schools and hospitals and the like. But now they've gone into housing. And some of them have gone a step further by going into investing into housing units, which they're either selling outrightly or they're going to list them out in due course. So the mortgage market also has to clip in to help sustain and push this growth.
If we talk more about growing regions outside of key places like Lusaka, you've got the Copper Belt, you've got the Northwest Province where all the mines are. Are these going to become real estate hotspots in the future?
Yes, you cannot underscore that because the growth that we are seeing right now is driven by mining as a sector, and that is copper-dependent mining. We've seen heavy investment going into Northwestern Province, which is the new, mining hub now. Before it was the copper belt. Now there's an extension going towards the northwest. And that whole area is begging for infrastructure development. There's no decent housing if you go into the key mining towns of Solwezi right now. Lumwana out there, they had to provide for a housing scheme so that they could provide decent housing for their, experts and mining professionals. But on a wholesome basis, the whole copper belt as well as Northwestern badly needs infrastructure development in the realms of housing, which should be complemented by other facilities like, shopping malls. We're looking at industrial properties also where people can venture into if they're going to do manufacturing, want to do warehousing and the like. So the demand is going to be much more on this segment that is opening up, the Northwestern.
Yeah, Isaac, thank you so much.
Beyond what we've seen in Lusaka.
Isaac, thank you so much for that update. Very interesting there. Isaac Ngoma, president of the Economics Association of Zambia, talking about the changing landscape when it comes to real estate in the country.